Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Personnel Commission meeting for December 14th, 2021 at 3:34. I'd like to call in that meeting to order. We'll take roll. Arnold Rocha.
Present.
And Anthony Valencia, present. The chairperson is currently absent or not assigned for members absent. Pledge of Allegiance. Mr. Dickinson, would you help us?
Right hand over your heart. Ready? Begin. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Approval of agenda.
I move to approve the agenda for today.
I second. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Do we have any public comment cards this afternoon?
No, sir.
Okay. Having no public comment cards, I'm not going to read the public comment admonition. Next on the list is CSCA report.
Good evening, Commissioners. I really don't have much of a report this meeting, just to have a happy holidays. I know we are facing a PC petition vote that's going to be coming up pretty promptly after once we return. I want to thank Mr. Rocha for coming out to our CSCA holiday appreciation. We appreciate you always supporting.
Thank you.
I do have one concern. We have a couple of things that I've seen on the board agenda that are coming up about some of the members that are being placed on the 39-month rehire list. I'm concerned because some of those people that are being placed there are released of January and February, and I'm wondering why are we putting them on so early. So I do have those concerns regarding the agenda that you will be approving. That's headed to the board for approval this week. So I do have some concerns about how we're putting people on the 39-month rehire list when it's 2 or 3 months down the line. So other than that, have a happy holidays and take care.
Well, what is the issue that you have?
My issue is if their time is up in February or January 31st, why aren't we doing it at the January or February meeting? Why are we putting them on at the December meeting?
Okay, thank you for that issue. I did have a question for you, if you don't mind. Is there any change to the scheduling for Mr. Roach is going to be on your tabulation?
I have no, the district is handling that. CSEA has no.
No, I was just wondering, did you have any issues or changes to what you have going right now?
No, we don't have, it's in the district's hands. You guys or us, none of us have any say in the matter. So it's out of my control, and we're going to follow whatever process the district put in place.
No problem. I just want to keep my finger on the pulse to
No
make sure that
concerns.
there's no issues.
No concerns at this time.
Thank you. And of course, I'll ask the same thing of you when we get to it. And of course, your next district administrator report.
Good afternoon. It's always a pleasure to be here with the commissioners. A couple of things I'd like to share to touch upon. Reminder, we did speak to the petition or request for an election from CSCA regarding the merit system. Thank you for appointing the member of the tabulation committee, Mr. Rocha. At this Thursday's board meeting, the district's team is proposing the timeline, the procedures, the balloting, the committee, the whole process in regards to what to expect. It was published yesterday. It was published yesterday on the agenda, so the board will be reviewing it and considering it this Thursday. But to summarize, tentatively, pending board approval, we have the forum scheduled for January 11th at 5 p.m. at the Victor Valley High School Performing Arts Center. CSEA has provided the pro person speaking to terminate, hoping that the commission will provide a name in regards to the con mic. I know it was discussed at the last commission's meeting, so I'm hoping that you have a name that we can walk onto the board meeting on Thursday as far as the con mic. That will take place January 11th at 5 p.m. again at Victor High. On January 18th, we've scheduled the vote to take place between the hours of 7 a.m. and 4 p.m. We have proposed that it be at 3 sites. Site number 1 would be at Silverado High School. Site number 2, Lakeview. And site number 3, Victor High School. We have procedures in place and, of course, the ballot pending board approval. Then the tabulation of that vote would take place that evening at 5 p.m. at the Victor Valley High School Performing Arts Center. And the intent, in order to create a very transparent process, is that both the forum and the tabulation would be live streamed, so that anyone that is able to be present, of course, has a right to, or anybody that would prefer to see it online from the comfort of their home or wherever they're at would be able to do that. So that's what we have in place so far. Second thing I'd like to share with the commission is a memo did go out to all staff members, to the entire community, from my office today. On the 13th, the California Department of Public Health initiated an update to face covering requirements. Effective tomorrow, it'll be universal masking indoors for any of our facilities, regardless of vaccination status. So effective tomorrow, that goes into effect. A memo outlining that, along with the link to the actual update from CDPH, was sent out. So I'm hoping that you all received it, and if not, I'm sure Mr. Dickinson can forward that to you. We are wrapping up, right? Today's a couple more days, and we're going to go into winter break, to recess. And all of our classified employees and staff have worked really hard to keep our students safe during some very challenging times, whether it's these cyber social media threats, whether it's just feeling overwhelmed with everything that's going on with the pandemic. Classified employees have always stepped up to make a difference in students' lives. So wish everyone a happy holidays, and if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Oh, I do have a question. If you look at the ed code for the tabulation and the meeting, it has to be canvassed. You can't have 3 people in one place, and they can't have release time during the day of the vote. So it's impossible to have it at 3 different locations.
It's not impossible. The ed code doesn't stipulate that you have one location.
But it
The
does
tabu-
stipulate
but
that.
Let me finish. The tabulation committee has the responsibility of canvassing the votes, and that occurs during the tabulation itself. So there is a process in place electronically to inhibit anybody's ability to vote more than once. The district has thought this through very strategically and carefully, along with legal counsel. And we have reviewed education code, and there's nothing that inhibits our ability to host it at 3 locations.
And that's why you were live streaming it, is to ensure that the monitoring is there?
Well, that's one aspect of it, is to ensure, yes, that the integrity of the process is there, so that there's absolutely no question. In addition, the district is having private security be at every polling location, in addition to their certificated monitors, who will then transport the ballot boxes, the sealed ballot boxes, to the one location, and then the tabulation committee can then do what it has to do there at one location in the presence of everyone. So the tabulating will take place at one location. However, the polling is at multiple locations.
Is there, does the, and I'm not questioning your authority or anything, just, is there any, do you feel there's any need for anybody to monitor the polling locations other than the private security that the district is hiring?
Yes, so there is a process for that. Great question. So certificated staff members, certificated management staff members who don't have a stake in this game will be monitoring the polling. So principals, assistant principals, and any other certificated managers will be at the polling locations to make sure that the polling is going correctly, in addition to the private security that we've hired.
Okay, so that's already been put in place with December's meeting?
So we're taking these procedures to the board on Thursday.
Okay,
And if the board approves the procedures, then all of that will be implemented on January 11th for the forum, January 18th for the voting and tabulation, and then the results will be taken to the board on the January 20th meeting, which is 2 days later.
thank you, sir.
Yeah, no problem. Are there any other questions?
Arnold, do you have any questions? Mr.
No,
Rocha?
I just wanted to make sure is that I can see those processes for the tabulation in particular.
Yes.
One other question, though, I do, so duplicate voting was mentioned just a few seconds ago, so how do we, with the 3 sites, how do you
Yeah.
safeguard against that?
Yeah, so through virtual platforms and online platforms such as Google Docs or Google Sheets. So if we have a master roster, which we will have, and it's live information being implemented into one sheet. So say Mr. Rocha goes to Silverado High School and he registers there, signs in, ID is taken, and gets his ballot. The person responsible at Silverado High School will indicate live that you checked in. That will be viewed simultaneously on the same sheet at the same time by the Victor site and the Lakeview site in order to inhibit anybody going to multiple sites. So it's live data via tools like Google Sheets and Google Docs.
Okay. Thank you.
No problem. Any further questions?
None for me. Thank you for your report, sir.
You bet.
I'd like to move into the organizational meeting, and action item 5.1, organizational meeting. I'd like to move, place myself a nomination for the chairperson for the Personnel Commission.
Second?
Any discussion? Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Passes 2-0. I'd like to nominate Arnold Rocha as vice chair.
Oh. Don't be so fast to second, everybody. Do I second that? Second. I second.
Any discussion? I call for the vote. All
Aye.
those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, 2-0. No, with no other organizational requirements pending. I'd like to, and at this point, I'd like to just make a comment. I look forward to the board's candidate coming forward in the January meeting, and we're going to address that in the schedule upcoming. The Personnel Commission meeting schedule as printed. I move this Personnel Commission meeting dates forward to be approved.
Second?
All those in favor?
Discussion, sir?
Discussion, I'm sorry.
It's all right. So in our October meeting, we had speakers wanting to move back the time possibly to 4:30, and I see that this is at 3:30 here. So I think that the premise at that time was to allow more of the members from CSEA to either come to the meetings or see the meetings. And I'm wondering if we can't, that I would like to see it pushed back a little bit myself.
The
So,
discretion of you guys.
yeah, so that we, I guess what I'm looking at is that we need to ensure that we give this forum, just like we have our board meetings, they're later in the afternoon. And I think by moving it back half hour, 1 hour, to allow more members to come to these meetings is feasible, and I think it encourages inclusiveness of all of our staff who are affected by the decisions that we make here as a personnel committee. By not giving them that opportunity, I think that it would appear that we're not inclusive, and that's not, I don't think that's what I would be in favor for. I would like to have that inclusiveness. I see that we may not get the full room crowd that we would like to see, but at least we've given them the opportunity and that we heard their voices to ensure that we are being inclusive. So I would like to see that either we go back half hour if possible, because that was part of the comments that were made at a prior meeting.
We've, just for some history here, we've done this, it was about 3 years ago. We moved it to 4:30 and we held it there. I believe it was on my vote and my motion then, and we did not receive a lot of participation. But now that we're live streaming, it may be beneficial to move it. Would you entertain a 4 o'clock meeting? And that, because the schools are getting out between 3 and 3:30.
Actually, before that, only 2 schools get out after that. Most schools are done at 2:45, except for 2.
So the people, in order to come here, would have travel time, and the people that want to watch it would have to stay at work or go home and watch it from the house.
I have no objection to meeting people halfway. I just think that the 3:30 start time is, if the membership is feeling that they can't come to the meetings, and we had it at 4:30 before, I think we could always address this at a future date if we're still not seeing something. But
Okay.
at 4 o'clock, I'm fine.
Well,
to moving-
I withdraw my motion then, and then we'll allow
Okay.
you to make a motion.
Then I motion that we keep the calendar dates as we have them listed, but have the start time of our meetings at 4 PM, starting for the calendar year of 2022.
I second that motion with an addendum that we add a special meeting for the 25th of January for the purposes of swearing in a special meeting, our new district commissioner.
But I don't mind that we put a new date in, however, this calendar is for regular meetings.
Right, that's what I'm
and-
saying.
and
We're gonna
so-
publish, this is a regular meeting date.
Correct.
The only thing, we would have a special meeting that we would notify everybody for the 25th.
And I think Mr. Dickinson he's gonna be required to do that irregardless, but this is for regular meetings, but he will be inviting everybody or putting it out there that we have a special
I'll
meeting.
have to do a public service announcement informing
Right.
the public that there is a special meeting.
Okay,
All right?
I'm good.
So, all those in favor of the motion as stated?
All right?
Aye. Any opposed? I'd like to entertain 2 different motions here, and that's, let's go with the minutes from November 9th. If you had the opportunity to review those minutes, sir?
I've reviewed all our minutes. I'm fine with the minutes as published. I make a motion that we move it, or a second.
Okay, I second the motion of okaying the November 9th minutes. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? None noted. The reason why I broke it up into the separate minutes is noting October 5th's commission meeting. I was not present at that meeting, and in reviewing the Brown Act and Robert Rules of Order, it's possible for me to make a motion to approve these minutes even though I was not present.
That is correct.
Let me just look at something really fast. That's the meeting schedule, minutes.
5.3.
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay.
So we have the October 5th meetings. If I'm not correct, it's because they were not on the agenda of the prior. So that, in addition to that, we had just forgotten them in our agenda, so which we were bringing here forward. So I have no objections. I've read them. I have no objections. So move for the meeting minutes of October 5th.
I made that motion, yes.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Next item, 5.4, classified personnel report.
I move that we pass the personnel report.
I second with discussion. Discussion from Mr. Rocha.
I just want to make sure is that I'm not missing something for our comments from our CSEA. Is this where we're looking at this 39-month rehire, or is
That's not a function of the Personnel Commission,
Okay.
it's a function of the board.
the board?
Yeah.
So the board is the one who actually puts these
The board
folks,
is the one who actually takes the action.
takes
It's
the
reported
action?
After the board.
So this
does
is
that.
just a report action for that.
And I can give you, the reason that we do it early
Thank you.
is because we try to give the people a heads up of what's coming down the line. If we waited to after the board took action, depending on when the board meeting is, it might be a day or two before it cuts off. So we try to front load them and let them know at least 30 days in advance. So for instance, the people that are on the board meeting that are going this month in December, it's for the end of January, and there is one person on there in February, and the only reason we're notifying her, and I can't go into her doctor's note, but there's a reason why we're letting her know as soon as possible based on the note that she gave us.
So when this appears, when the board does take action
It will
on.
appear.
Okay, it will appear. My question really is there a date of when that, of that expiration
that
period?
month.
It'll be just the month?
be
Okay,
in that
but
month.
it will be there. So it's not, by it appearing there, does not cause anything to happen any sooner? It has to.
No. And like I said, it's more about giving the employee who's going on that list a heads up, because imagine if you were going on that list and we told you, say if the board meeting happened on the 25th of January and the last day of the month was the 28th of January, you had a 3-day notice if the board took action that you're on that list. So we try to front load you and give you at least a 30-day notice.
Okay. Thank you.
That's what it's all about.
So I have two issues in the discussion. In administrative leaves, it says none for November. Does that mean we have no current members on administrative leave?
That is correct.
Okay, but just want to make sure that not just what happened in November. And then working out of class, I know that was one of my long-term issues, and that is all the people that are working out of class that I count here, 5, all voluntary working out of class.
That's correct.
Thank you, sir. And then I call for the vote. All those in favor of passing the Personnel Commission report?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? None noted. We have one instructional assistant bilingual list, 5.5.
I move to pass the list for eligibility.
After reviewing the list, I second that. Do you have any discussion, Mr. Rocha?
Yes, I do. I have some questions that were written on here. Just, I understand that this is a written test, as listed on here. It's written, correct? And so, I guess, when I first started the Personnel Commission, we had a list and we were moving on this. Is the test, this is bilingual, is the test in English and in the language in which they are being hired to translate?
There's questions in both, but just know this is not a new list. This is an extension of a list you guys have already approved. The list is expired, so we are asking you guys to extend this list out. So it's not a new list. That's why, if you look at the rankings, that's why the numbers are what they are.
Yes, and that was my next question, okay,
It's
and
an
that was, okay.
Until we
So,
do a new recruitment.
only because I also saw a new list, and that's where I was getting with my
If you're reading the
questions.
breakdown, it
It's
gives you.
one
it
more
tells
down.
you
Thank
that
you.
It's an extension of the original list.
Absolutely. I noticed that I commented on it previously, the low scores in this particular one, but we're having a real hard time getting people, so I don't have any problem extending this list.
Okay, I'm good.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? None noted. All right, now, Mr. Rocha, this is going to be a little bit of a challenge here because we have 2 months' worth of advanced placement that we have to go through, so,
That's fine. I'm here.
so.
That's what I signed up for.
Five point six, salary placement, step B for Angel Victoria.
I move for step placement.
I second that motion. Any discussion, Mr. Rocha?
Yes, I do. So I noticed that we'd had this advanced step placement criteria sheet, which is a great start into quantifying the reasons for why we're providing these steps. However, I was not aware that we had approved, I know we had discussed
Well, that's not.
providing this. I guess what I'm saying is that I was caught off guard. I didn't know that we were gonna start using it because I still don't understand the form in itself as to how we're using it and if, are we addressing as much of the criteria to ensure that we don't have any fallback as to why our thoughts and reasoning are for providing these steps. I've read through the background of it, which is why I have really no issue with providing the step. I just think that I want to discuss further, not right now, I don't want to hold up this process, but I want to go over this sheet that way, because this is now on record. This is now on record, and I didn't know that we were going to be providing the form starting this month.
Well, we have 2 months worth there, and is
So,
what,
let me-
Well, I guess what I am saying,
Is-
it could be 2 months, but in our October meeting, we were just given this sheet, form to look at so that we can see what it is that we're asking for. Last meeting, I was looking at it, and it's not as cut and dry as it may seem, at least not to me, because I went ahead and I developed my own sheet using this as the criteria. But then as I started to develop this sheet, I had more questions. E.g., we grant people points for education. Okay? and
education connected to the issue,
Yes,
to the job.
to the classification, but in this case here, it says if you have high school diploma, then the next step is going to be your associates, your bachelor's, your master's plus, and so forth. So and this is just a for instance, if we had someone who came in, if a position required an AA, so where do we start them at if they had a bachelor's? Do they get points? It's the progression as.
It's on there, but it's
Well,
on-
no, but if they came in with an AA, this says meeting minimum high school. So you go from high school, you get an AA, you get 1 point. But if the job required that you have an associate's, then where does it start from there? Do you go to bachelor's 1 or just bachelor's 2 and master's plus 3? And then my other question, and I'm getting way off topic here, but this form needs to be discussed. And it surprised me because now this is a form of record, and I had never intended for this to be utilized quite yet.
It's a worksheet, and
It's a-
in so being a worksheet, we're not adopting it as a form
It
of.
is just a worksheet.
It is a worksheet that we had not agreed that we were going to still use regardless. It was, if we were working on it, if it was brought to our attention to work on this, then I thought that we had input, and I didn't see it as being put in right away. I just want you to know is that I was caught off guard, and I don't think it's complete.
Well, that's why I said it's a worksheet. If you want to add something to it, I think we can create a date where we can create a workshop where you and I and maybe the new member.
I would be happy to do that. I'm good. Like I say, I really didn't want to take so much time.
Well, listen-
I've been reading the background of each one of these, and it's not that I have an issue, it's the form in itself.
And I think
yes.
that's why the backup documentation assists us in making those
Exactly,
decisions.
exactly.
And so,
But with that said, I move that we, I give this a thumbs up, an aye, that we process this one right here.
okay, you made a motion, we've seconded, that was our discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
All those opposed? None noted? 5.7, salary replacement for Banks, Anita Banks.
I move.
I second. Do you have any discussion, Mr.
None.
Rocha? After reviewing the documents, I'll concur and call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? None noted. 5.8, salary replacement for Brandon Jacobs.
So move.
I second. Any discussion, Mr. Rocha?
None.
I also have none based on the documentation accompanying the worksheet. I call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? None noted. Item passes. 5.9, salary replacement for Brandy Tidwell.
Thrash.
So Thrasher.
I think it's
It,
hyphenated.
okay. So move.
I second. Any discussion, Mr. Rocha?
None.
Call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None noted. Is that a hyphenated name, Mr. Dickinson?
It is. She got married after she got here.
Okay. Well, congratulations in any event. 5.10, Jasmine Crawford,
So move.
Health Tech LVN. I second. Any discussion, Mr. Rocha?
None.
No discussion on my part. I call for the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None noted. Item passes. Salary replacement for Mr. Dickinson. Can you help me with that?
Madrid.
Marseille?
Marisa Madrid.
Marisa Madrid.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
It's all right. So move.
I second. Any discussion, Mr. Rocha?
None.
I also have no discussion on that based on the paperwork accompanying the recommendation. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None noted. Salary replacement 5.12 of Michael Mayer.
Michael Myers. Oh, my goodness. I don't know, but so move.
It's a maintenance locksmith? Is
Yeah,
that the?
that's what it shows as.
Okay.
So move.
I second. Any discussion, Mr. Rocha?
None.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. None opposed? Pass 2-0. Five point 13, state placement B for Pamela Pointis. Points. See here.
So move.
I second. Any discussion, Mr. Rocha?
None, sir.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None noted. Passes. 5.14, advanced step placement for step B, Stacy Cripp.
So move.
I second. Any discussion, Mr. Rocha?
None.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Information items in regards to this discussion items. Monthly activity report for December 2021. Any comments, Mr. Rocha?
None, sir.
None from me also. Current recruitments and transfers? No comments from the chair? Mr. Rocha?
None, sir.
Commissioner comments. want to thank everybody for being patient with me in my first meeting. I know it's a small meeting. I look forward to the board passing that informational and processes for next month. And if we are still here next year, look forward to working with everybody. Mr. Rocha, thank you for being on the tabulation committee, and I hope that you find the experience interesting. When I did it last year, the last time this happened, it was an interesting process. Mr. Rocha, comments, please.
Well, I want to say thank you very much. This has been my first year as a commissioner. I found it enlightening. Made you look at a lot of things, look at yourself and how you interpret a lot of things. I've met a lot of people along the way this first year, and I'm deeply appreciative for everything that they've shared with me, taught me, pointed me in I feel, a forward direction. I want to be able to work with everyone, be inclusive, that we're transparent, that we make the right choices for those that we were assigned to ensure that everyone is treated in an equitable fashion. And on behalf of me, my family, I want to wish everyone a happy holidays, Merry Christmas. And that's all.
Did you have any agenda items for next month?
No, sir.
Okay. And just projecting out a little bit, I'd like to just say that maybe we make that workshop in February for the worksheet, and that way the new member would have the opportunity to look at that worksheet also and have his input, because he won't be sworn in until January. So,
Okay.
anyway, February. Sound good with you, Mr.
I'm
Roach?
fine with that.
That sounds good. Okay, and Mr. Dickinson, you are up.
Just a friendly reminder, the annual conference is coming up in March. I brought the dates to you guys earlier, but I'll remind you guys again, it's March 6th through 8th, and it's going to be in Monterey, California, so save those dates. And Merry Christmas to everyone. Be safe. It's wet out there. Drive home safe, and that's all I have.
Can we save the date for not just Mr. Rocha, but for the
Yeah.
new member?
Yeah.
And that way we just have tentative reservations in case,
Yeah, after they haven't sent out their early bird registration yet, but I'll get the information out.
Mr. Dickinson, just looking at the date, 3/6 through the 8th being a date that's on our regular calendar section, so that's maybe something that we may be postponing a meeting or
Yeah.
pushing the meeting out, just FYI. I don't want to change things right now. Let's leave it as is.
Yeah,
All right.
because the conference is on a Sunday through a Tuesday, and I think they did that because of where it is. They get a decent hotel rate.
Okay, yeah. Sounds
and
about
everybody's
right.
gonna have to drive. No one can fly into there.
You can fly into San Jose and rent a car and then drive over. So Monterey is not an easy place to get into when it comes to travel.
That
so.
is true.
That's always been a consideration when going there.
And there's no need for a closed session because I have nothing to report. So
We have no need for closed session?
I was just going to discuss this with us,
That's no
but we've already discussed that. No need to beat a dead horse on that.
Well, then I would entertain a motion from the floor to adjourn the meeting.
So move, adjourn meeting.
And I second that motion. No discussion?
None?
Meeting adjourned at
4:13.
4:13.
Aye.
I call for the vote. Yeah, all those in favor, aye?
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. I appreciate it.